Thank you, Michael, and thank you to the other organizers for having me. Yes, indeed, I just wanted to start by pointing out that it's right that in this situation we have been focusing more on the immediate pressing need to change the ways we deliver our undergraduate courses, but surely, I mean, many people would agree that PhD students are the lifeblood of our profession, and definitely we need to make sure that that we basically get new mathematicians, right? That the mathematics as a profession does not die away. Of course, I believe it won't, but what are we doing to make sure the continuity of a PhD provision? So I will speak about PhD level courses specifically. Okay, I stress that I will use Magic Taught Course Center as an example. I will tell you a little bit of Magic, and I will ask questions. Well, actually, yes, that's not a mistake. Rather than teaching you what to do, I will rather pose questions, and I want to be thought-provoking. I want to sort of stimulate the discussion, perhaps. So Magic, that's the Magic website, maths-magic.ac.uk. Generally, why taught courses for PhD students in maths? Well, I think this question has been asked many times, and of course, there is this point of view that well, PhD students must focus on their research. But honestly, I mean, if you look at what has been said on the subject, for example, in sort of more recent, from more recent examples, LMS, London Mathematical Society position paper 2010, the breadth and depth of PhD training, breadth and depth, and surely when you are doing a PhD, you have a lot to learn, not just in your particular area, and not just for writing your own thesis. This was a theme in several, in fact, at least 2 recommendations by international reviews of UK mathematics to provide PhD students with the opportunity to take taught courses at PhD level. And may I remind you that the PhD program is usually, I mean, routinely think of, if you look at the funding from UK research councils, it's routinely 3.5 years in mathematics to account for the fact that PhD students will have to engage in taught courses. Now, so basically, my answer to that is our discipline needs competent researchers and teachers, and competence includes learning things which may be not necessarily in your narrow area of where you focus your research. So how do we how do we give the students this opportunity? So, of course, some research groupings and some math departments set up their own courses for PhD students in maths. That's fine. Some departments do allow their PhD students to take, for example, advanced master's level courses for credit. And I think it makes sense to point out that in many places all around the country, it is a requirement for PhD students to get credit for, let's say, about 100 hours worth of taught courses, which happens primarily in the first and also second year of the PhD. But there is a third way, if you want, and that is several math departments join forces to teach PhD courses. So let's say lecturer X teaches a course in Manchester, and a student Y is following that course in Sheffield, okay, and vice versa. So it is about sharing their expertise between departments, and surely it is also about distributing the workload, because I mean, let's be honest. I mean, many PhD level taught courses are very specialized, and they will be taken maybe by 1 or 2 students from your department. Do you really have the resources to assign teaching to your colleagues if your lecturer will be teaching 1 or 2 students? So obviously that's a serious issue. So in terms of expertise, in terms of workload, someone had the idea to set up taught course centers at PhD level, and there are, as far as I know, there are currently 6 taught course centers in the UK. So they cover pretty much all areas of maths. I will specifically say about magic, but we've got pure, applied, we've got stats, operational research. So between them, the 6 taught core centers aim to cover all major sort of directions in mathematics. Okay, so magic. Magic is, as you could probably guess, is an acronym. I think originally it meant Mathematics Access Grid Instructional Collaboration, but what does Access Grid means? It's sort of becoming less relevant now. I would like to emphasize 2 words: mathematics and collaboration, and I'm hoping to say more about collaboration. So these are, I've prepared this little table. It shows 21 member departments. As you can probably see, geographically, this is very widely distributed, scattered even across England and Wales. And and also I want to mention that some departments choose to recommend their students that they join Magic as external students. This is this geographic distribution of Magic members obviously, begs the question how to organize this shared teaching. It's not realistic to expect the students to come together to one place and to listen to a lecture. So I will say what do we teach, and then after that I will explain how is this organized and then discuss. So we focus on pure and applied maths. We do not aim to cover other areas of maths. All in all, we provide roughly 250 hours per week worth of courses. We've got 2 10-week terms per year. Some courses are 10 hours, and some courses are 20 hours. And honestly, a 10-hour specialist course in Magic, I've compared it with the amount of material which can be taught, for example, in a master's level course with 22 lectures and 11 support classes in Manchester. It is comparable. So the courses are very intensive, which I think appropriate at PhD level. Now. So the courses are split into core courses, which the members of Magic agreed should run every year and be available to every year's intake of PhD students. And there are specialist courses, which, for example, someone wants to teach something which which is interesting to his or her research. But of course, the courses are selected, the courses we provide are actually vetted and selected by a program committee, which I will mention in a minute. Now, of course, I think this theme has been brought up by previous speakers in this workshop. Assessment is, and that's my opinion as well, assessment is extremely important. So I would not expect students to engage fully with, even at PhD level, with a taught course if they know that there is no assessment. So how do magic lecturers assess students? The rule in magic is that students are given a takeaway open book exam paper, which they have about 2 weeks to do and to submit via the magic website. Now, I think I mean I think it's right to mention that, because John did mention it earlier today, the fact that open book assessments are suddenly becoming the norm, I guess, and in undergraduates we've all been using closed book timed assessments, and I think this warrants discussion and review. And I'm hearing from colleagues that actually, yes, open book assessments could work at an undergraduate level, and that I put a star here. I think that participants from departments where you've got magic, where you've got people who actually teach magic, you might not even be aware that, yes, a magic lecturer has to set an open book assessment at the end of the term. And I think it's worth talking to magic lecturers in your department and sharing this expertise, how to prepare such assessments. Can we modify existing, let's say, undergraduate master's level papers, or should we prepare papers from scratch? And yes, at PhD level in magic, for example, very interesting, I think very interesting exam questions for open book assessment are set. This is really a wealth of expertise there. Now, I would say I would personally prefer more discussion about open book assessments. I'm enthusiastic about that, and I direct you to, let's say, Kevin's blog. He posted some sort of short list of resources, perhaps, which you might be interested in, because I think that's what's going to become the norm, perhaps. Okay, so that's the point about the assessment. Now, how it works technically, briefly. Old current model, it was up to now has been remote teaching. So each department has a classroom, and the classrooms are joined by video link. So it's kind of remote teaching, but perhaps not fully online. And lecturers would use visualizer, maybe slides, share 1 or 2 desktops across this video link. Now, there is a problem with this. This year we have had to change because currently, for example, the buildings are closed. The Manchester department has closed down the building, and it wasn't actually possible to use that magic classroom for the last few weeks. Students may be at home, and just to add to all these issues, the software platform we have been using in magic will no longer be available to us because the business which provided it decided to focus on healthcare, not education. So it's not, it doesn't make sense to buy that technology for us. It's much more expensive now. What are the ideas here? Of course, we have already.
You've got a couple of minutes or so left.
Sure. Yeah, I'm nearing the end of my presentation. Now, a couple of ideas. I decided not to put a slide up on that, but lecturers have been practicing a flipped classroom delivery. So sort of part of the course is recorded, and they expect the PhD students who take their course to actually study those recordings and notes, and there are interactive sessions. So obviously we could build on that, but perhaps if we look at the changes we have to make, and we have had to make, is yes, we need a new platform. So basically the paradigm will be different. What we are looking at is teaching, delivering the lecture from the lecturer's desktop to students' desktops. So we have looked at several software platforms, and we decided that we will be trying Zoom. So is just the platform through which we are talking now. So in terms of features and price, it came up on top. But of course, just technically, we probably need to be more like those, open online courses where the lecturer has to put his or her content on a single screen, and that screen goes into the video and is shared with the students. So yes, I mean there is a lot of there is a lot to talk about and to learn. Now. Also, in response to this pandemic situation, we decided we will we can offer PhD students outside Magic free access to recordings of the lectures. So perhaps in terms of sharing the expertise and sharing what we've got, and that's what we are discussing right now. Now, very briefly, organization of Magic. The reason I'm giving you this slide is to show that this slide is actually very short. So we've got director Peter Ashwin from Exeter. We've got 21 representatives from all departments in the steering committee, who meets just once a year. A program committee vets the courses, it's 7 people. A management committee makes operational decisions, 8 people. We've got project manager, and well, currently it's a part-time role, and we've got a contractor who provides the technical support. Now, this is not, there is not a lot of bureaucracy, and I think this allows us to be flexible and to respond to challenges like this pandemic more effectively. So my final slide. It's not answers, it's thoughts. So this is my personal opinion. So I'm using my privilege as a speaker to actually offer my thoughts about Magic and the situation in general. Now, first, it's been raised a few times in this workshop, less is more. So should I view Magic as a platform? So we got together to organize a platform, a way to connect enthusiastic excellent lecturers, experts, to enthusiastic students who want to take their courses. And we don't prescribe, we are not being overly prescriptive how to do this. So of course we've got ground rules, but not a lot. I think there is a lot of freedom in a good way. Is Magic a way to work together? So mathematicians get together in Magic, form those small committees, and instead of working around the restrictions imposed on us by someone from above, we work out solutions between ourselves. Isn't it a way to move forward, to share the expertise we've got within the discipline, and perhaps, of course, not even, but of course, that's a way to learn from each other. So I think, to be honest, that this fantastic workshop shows that we can get together, even at short notice, we can share expertise, we can learn from each other within our discipline. And personally, I would propose that as the mode of collaboration, as the way forward. So, of course, tell me, ask me if you disagree. Okay, so once again, the last slide has been my thoughts on the situation, and I'm left to thank you, the organizers, and all the previous speakers for an opportunity to speak and for all this fantastic workshop.
Many thanks, Yuri, for giving us that kind of unique insight from how Magic do this. I'm only going to ask a couple of questions, if that's okay, but leave you to be busy typing responses online. The final one, the first question was around, is there potential here for using Magic as a model to perhaps share final year modules? So there's a lot of kind of discussion within institutions about, can we run all of our options? And I think you kind of sort of hinted at that as a possibility. But there's a question that's come in literally just now from Julia. Are there any plans for the taught course centres to kind of join forces and see how things might be delivered remotely? Has there been any discussion around that as to how the different
right. So that's a very good question, and obviously, although I may come across as someone who promotes collaboration, and I even underline that word in Magic, right? But of course, I believe in healthy competition as well. However, in February, when this pandemic was not yet in force, we did get together with the other taught courses. We gathered at the London Mathematical Society to discuss how we do that. And I think, yes, I mean, maybe, I'm not sure, maybe it's a bit too late, but maybe that's the right time to do that. And yes, I think moving forward, Magic, you see, Magic has already been set up for remote learning, you know, from quite a few years ago, and we've got you know, a custom-made website. We don't subscribe to some sort of learners management system and so on. So we've got lots of things in Magic which are designed towards this model. Other taught course centers may not, but yes, I think we might be. We should be willing to continue that discussion. We really only seriously started a few months ago. Yes.
Brilliant. Just to say thank you again, Yuri. You'll be available to kind of tap out some responses, because I see you've got a number of kind of questions coming in. But you know, thanks for giving us again that really unique insight into postgraduate and PhD student delivery, which, you know, I think is an important dimension in a meeting like this, the advanced level courses.